It is Ahsoka Tano Thursday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. This morning, let's play with the latest iteration of very easy meditation. Welcome to the first quarter of mindful, crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and that gives you 96 inhalations. You could count those 8 sets on your left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this first quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger, upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap. Come, let us demystify enlightenment. It is said the victors write the histories, and similarly, Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything is corrupt, including humans. Since the Neolithic Revolution, the majority of humans have been conditioned by society to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, and this reflects in much in religious terminology. There's always going to be, however, a minority who subvert the system and strive to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, in their view of religious or spiritual terminology is greatly different. What if enlightenment was nothing more than mastering the Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what do we mean by mastery? Mastery of anything just means, well, think of it this way. Children are not born knowing how to use the toilet, or brush their teeth, or tie their shoes, or ride a bike. And yet, by the time most children are ready for first grade, they are so good at those things that they can practice them spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. In a similar manner, in the Discourse on the Four Bases of Mindfulness, towards the very end, the Buddha explained that one could master his path in as little as 7 days. The reason for that is that by simply emphasizing the 7th fold, which is mindfulness, and the 8th fold, which is meditation, the remaining 6 folds of the path could take care of themselves. It is therefore important, and given the importance of mindfulness and meditation, let us view them through the lens of neuroscience after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Please chant with me. The nudity of the archetypical couple sporting and tantric union reminds us of the vulnerability so crucial to mindfulness. When we inhale, whether we know it or not, that we are wired to access effortlessly and automatically our sympathetic nervous system found in the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But what have we evolved to notice? We've evolved to notice mind's antics of perception. You know, sight, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emoting, intending, including emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Now this sounds like a whole bunch of stuff to be done at the same time, doesn't it? Fortunately, there is a shortcut. Silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during your inhalation, and you will induce the cerebral cortex to stop repressing the sympathetic nervous system and begin cooperating with it. Now for a concise explanation of meditation. Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we physically relax and mentally release to the point that what we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to fleetingly feel less tantalizing, less permanent, and less defining. And this brings us back to what I mentioned a few minutes ago, that merely by playing with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so, we can experience the first fold's deep familiarization with the literal impermanence that supports letting go. In view of the importance of this mindfulness and meditation, right now let us practice together as a team. And by the way, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or Buddhist meditation, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. Welcome to the second quarter of Mindful Crease Counting Meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and that gives you 96 inhalations. You could keep track of those 8 sets on your left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our second quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Please chant with me. The translucence of the archetype of the all-good father and mother depicted in paintings reminds us of meditation's experience of impermanence and non-graspability. We'll begin with a bit of review. What is the essence of mindfulness? To silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation. Doing so helps us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. That could include the external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, and the grotesque. But what are we to do with all this stuff that we notice? And that brings us to meditation. Let's explore meditation through the lens of neuroscience. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is divided between the lower third and the upper third of our spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. To the point that as we relax, we could release what we noticed during our inhalation, to the point that what we noticed could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Ask an English teacher and they'll tell you, a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. So we have to ask the question, what? What is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is intangible to the hand? This returns us to the idea of the Eightfold Path. Simply by playing with mindfulness and meditation, we set space for the first fold's deep familiarization with a figurative emptiness that supports our mental release. Therefore, together as a team, let us silently and mentally recite this and ease in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation, thus facilitating the noticing and releasing, often described as mindfulness and meditation. Additionally, as we inhale, we are wired to automatically generate a vertical traction between our tush and our head. And as we exhale, that traction is wired to release. Welcome to the third quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8, and you've got 96 breaths. You could count those 8 sets on your left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our third quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Please chant with me. The beauty of the octave sky blue the beauty of the octave sky blue kuntu zong po and cloud white kuntu zong mo yam pyam remind us of the highest love, spontaneous and uncontrived. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. What does that look like? It looks like since the Neolithic Revolution, the majority of all societies have trained the majority of their denizens to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. But there's always been a minority who rebelled against this paradigm and strove to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. Therefore, it should come as little surprise that 90% of meditation teachers are rigid and controlling, so much so that they implore their students to actively focus by relying upon their medial prefrontal cortex, or actively analyze using their dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Overwork our prefrontal cortex and we will trigger our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression. Let's be honest. No one wakes up and says, I don't have enough anxiety or aggression in my life. I want to make them worse. No. People come to meditation because they don't want to be anxious. They want to be peaceful. They come to meditation because they don't want to be aggressive. They want to be loving. And when they set out on a course of action that takes them in the opposite direction, quite often they'll try to change that, but they're stuck in the paradigm of continuing to use focus and analysis to undo the damage already done by focus and analysis. And the best they're able to do is contrive an analog of love, flaccid and worthless and weak. But I've got some amazing news. Number one, by silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation as an act of mindfulness, and by silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation to induce release, we not only release the intensity of anxiety and aggression, but we release the tyranny they hold, the sway they hold over our choices and our utterances and our deeds. But there's more. The more we practice this mindfulness and meditation that relies upon our inhalation sympathetic nervous system and our exhalations parasympathetic nervous system, the more we actually stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus, this thing here that looks like the letter C. This thing has evolved to function as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, the essence of compassion and love. And so the great irony is that by practicing something as easy as noticing and releasing, we not only undo the damage of concentration and analysis, but we experience the highest love, which is the spontaneous, effortless, and uncontrived byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. This is significant because 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is comprised of loving kindness. Kind intention, kind communication, kind conduct, and commerce that is as cooperative as it is loving. All this comes from our regular practice of mindfulness and meditation. So let's perform a set of exercises right now. And oh yes, by the way, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Welcome to the fourth quarter of Mindful Crease Counting Meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If we multiply this by 8 sets, we come up with 96 inhalations. We could count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our fourth quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Please chant with me. The stability with which the archetype sky blue Samanta Bandhana sits, and the abandon with which cloud-white Samanta Bandhari sports, reminds us of the effortless effort of centered spontaneity. So let's look at a middling review of mindfulness and meditation. Every time we inhale, whether we know it, let's try this again. Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics. And those antics fit into 4 categories. The first category is simply perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. The second category is duality. We notice that of all these things we notice, some we desire and some we dread. The third is we notice that we begin resisting the absence of what we desire. And the fourth is we notice we are resisting the presence of what we dread. Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we so physically relax and mentally release that we not only let go generally what we noticed, but we let go of the duality of dread and desire. We let go of our resistance to the absence of what we desire. We release our resistance to the presence of what we dread. Now, does this mean we become mindless doormats, forever getting mud scraped across our face? No. Well, why not? Because the more time we spend practicing mindfulness and meditation, perhaps every 12 hours or so, the more our choices and our utterances and our deeds begin to flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, which should not be confused with the scattered spontaneity we could experience after our 4th or 5th espresso, but rather the centered spontaneity that flows effortlessly from mindfulness and meditation. This is known by many names, including going with the flow or surfing our Buddha nature. Buddha nature is a charming Iron Age term to describe that the act of mindfulness and the act of meditation don't seem to be foreign. They seem to be natural. Now, in the digital age, thanks to such devices as the functional magnetic resonance imaging machine or device, we've been able to verify that our sympathetic nervous system is the seat of mindfulness. Our parasympathetic nervous system is the seat of meditation. Our anterior cingulate gyrus is the seat of empathy. Every healthy human adult is wired to not only practice the Buddha's Eightfold Path, but master it within a week or two. So, in view of this, together, let us play with mindfulness and meditation. And remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Please strike while the iron is hot. There is a Soto Zen aphorism, just sit. If taken literally, that leads to a dead end. It's a shortcut. It's a dead end masquerading as a shortcut. But if taken figuratively, what it means is cooperate with the aware nature of each inhalation. Cooperate with the releasing nature of each exhalation. Enjoy vertical traction in your posture during each inhalation. Enjoy release during each exhalation. And we are already wired to master the Eightfold Path. Another aphorism, which when taken literally is disastrous, is that Zen is think, Zen is think, no thought. Once again, if taken literally, it leads to the repression of thoughts, which is terrible. But if taken literally, it means everything we perceive during our inhalation is a function of mind. Mind's perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Mind's sights, mind's ability to see, hear, feel, taste, and smell through its sensory apparatus. But as we relax into our exhalation, all that we noticed during our inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. So when aphorisms are taken literally, confusion ensues. Always insist that someone explain the metaphor represented by an aphorism. And if they balk, it either means they don't know or they know that they don't know and they're just BSing you. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately three hours or so, I would very much like to return to today's mid-morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the force be with you always.